Okay, we're recording now. Basically, this is going to show that there's a problem. Set a mic up, and to my prior videos, I predicted there was going to be a problem. I showed you in my prior video that number 7 exhaust valve had a problem as far as how much I had to go in order to hit preload. And there's only two possible explanations for that. Either A, that the lifter is no good anymore, or the cam is completely wiped out. What this is going to do is this is going to show actual lift of the lobe. That's going to tell me one or two things, because this cam is what they call a dual load lift. It's the same. Sometimes the intake and the exhaust have a different lift and a different duration. Okay. The overall lift between the exhaust and the intake are the same. So this is the exhaust and this is my baseline. This is what I'm going to go by. So when I switch this over into the intake, it should read the same. Now this is zeroed out. As you can see, it's right on the lifter. The lifter is still installed. All I am doing right now is showing issue. Okay, and again, for my attorney Cindy, for my attorney, basically this is just an education on how it works. This is the intake lobe, or this is the exhaust lobe. I'm going to compare it next to the intake lobe. Since the cam is what they call a dual lift, both of them are exactly the same, and they should read exactly the same when I rotate the engine and it goes up onto the lobe to open the valve. Okay? Shouldn't be any issue there whatsoever. Now, this isn't showing what is wrong. This is just showing that there's a problem. The reason being, on older Chevys, like we used to know when we were growing up, I could take this center section out here, which is called the lifter valley, and I could actually see the lifters. I could actually pull that. I wouldn't have to do none of this. I could just take the intake off, and there the lifters are presented. But in this case, you have to remove the heads because you have what you call a shrouded assembly. You cannot get to the lifters from in here. In order to get to the lifters, you have to pull these heads off. So before I do that, which is very time consuming and expensive, because I'm going to have to spend money on gaskets, resurfacing, and everything else like that, it's better off if I see a problem before I do that. This is going to prove, A, that either the lifter's screwed up, but if I do find a problem, I'm going to do something else. There's a local shop around here, and it comes down to metallurgy. The camshaft and the lifter should have a close relation to hardness. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, if the camshaft is wiped out and it's due to the fact that the camshaft is too soft, then it was a camshaft manufacturer. But I really doubt it. I'm guessing that I'm going to find something issue with the lifters. The heads are going to come off and it's going to be documented. Okay, you asked in the email to show damage. Well, not only am I going to explain it, I'm going to show it, because I already know what's wrong. I'm just going through these steps so it's documented. So what I'm going to actually do is compare that lift with this lift to see what happens. Now, as you can see, what I have here, most people who are going to be possibly arguing, this is not your average setup. This is a very high quality setup that was done to exacting, and I do mean exacting standards. There's nothing wrong with the geometry. The root cause goes back prior to the warranty expiration. Prior. Okay? This is an ongoing issue. It's documented online that Morel has had QC issues with these lifters. Now, I didn't know that, of course, before this. How would I? Why would I? You know, They say they're the best lifters on the market, and their QA is top notch. Now the other issue is, after I pull these, I'm going to show the problem. And the problem is going to be how much pressure it takes to actually compress these lifters when they have oil in them. Now that could be a design flaw. And again, like I said, they didn't specify what kind of oil that I am supposed to run in this. There was no documentation with them. So I'm going to show exactly how many pounds of force it's going to take to collapse that lifter. These springs here are Lunati dual 650 spring kits. They are a beautiful match for these and the type of cam that I have in here. There should be absolutely no float. Valve train wise, I should be able to wind this as high as damn near my heart desires. Okay. What we're going to do here is I'm going to show the lift here, and then I'm going to have to cut, because I'm going to have to set this up. It's not an easy task. I got to make sure it's absolutely precise and make sure that the angle is correct with the rest of the motor. The angle has to be, whatever this angle is sitting here, it has to be extended out to this, so I have to make sure everything's parallel before I take my first measurement on the next one. This one's already been set up and done. It's sitting in the lifter cup as it is right now, and I'm going to go ahead and run it up on the lift, and we're going to count this together and see what the lift is, and then I'm going to cut it. I'm going to have to, because it's going to take a while, because this is very precise. I'm going to move it over to the intake, and we're going to measure that one. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see what it is. Come on, focus. Damn it, focus. Okay, that's not too bad. I'll try to get a little bit better. Try to get it centered up as good as I can. And it's about 1/1000th off. That's you know, if you guys want to pick her over that, fine. But it's 1/1000th off. All you got to do is add that to the final. Okay, so here we go. I see I'm getting in the way of the camera, so hold on just a second. Have to switch technique. Here we go. It just hit the base. You see it move just ever so slightly. Here we go. Zeroed up. Okay. One, two, and I can hear crunching, or I can hear something that's not very good. Okay, 2, 3, coming up on the top. 350, 36, give it a little more. Okay, she stopped right there, right around 3.6, 360 thousandths. We'll back it off a little. Let it come back down. See if I can hit that again for consistency. And that's coming back down. And 0. And anybody who rebuilds engines knows that's a pretty darn good return, especially going through the head. So the setup is valid 100%. I mean, I can move it a little bit more, but it's not going to show no more. That is a valid setup. Anybody who knows anything about engine building would tell you, yes, that's a trustworthy setup. It returned. it had returnability to it. So we're good on that, so we know what we're setting at there. Now I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to have to set it up in here, and we're going to match that and see what happens. Okay, I just don't want to wear the battery down, that's all. Okay, I'm back. I have this set up, and I've also found the spec card for the camshaft, and just a little bit of education. I might have to look through the finder when I do this. But as you can see, it's a 230-242 duration with a 612-612 lift. Okay, now that 612-612 is at the valve. Just say, okay. The actual true mechanical lift of the lobe itself is right there, 0.3600, 360. We've already verified that one lobe is actually good. So the cam's good, okay, on the exhaust, okay. And we verified that. Y'all have it. Now I've already got this set up, it's zeroed, and we're going to go around and see what that one reads. Now, just as an education, you can look back on the other ones. Every time that passes that point right there, that's 1, that's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, so on and so forth. So we should hit 3 rotations past that and right around in somewhere in there. I mean, this isn't a $1,000 dial indicator, but anybody who is watching this video who has any knowledge is going to know it's close enough. And as long as I can show repeatability here, which I think I'll be able to because I already did, I'm just setting this up for the video, that the camshaft itself is actually in good shape. So we're eliminating that. Okay, so we're going to bring it around anyway. Okay, I'm 1/1000th off. That might just be because the wind blew a little bit. Okay, but we can add or subtract that after repeatability. Okay, so here we go. We're going around and around and around. And like I said, the camshaft only turns at half the speed of the crank. So everyone, here we go. There is 1, 2, coming up on 3, 40, 50, and coming up on 360, and it's right there. About a thou under. Yeah, that's break-in. Okay, technically now I've proven that this camshaft is okay. So metallurgically speaking, it should be okay. Now I'm gonna bring this back down to see if I can hit the same point on 0. Now it may be a thou or so off, but actually it's not. I've gone exactly back to the place I was. That's well, that's not repeatability, but that's verification. Repeatability is the next round. Okay, so I'm going to sit here and spin my baby right round again. So bring it around. Should be coming up on it. Yeah, I can see the lobe coming around in the valley. Should hit it just a second. There we go. We're coming up on it. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. Same spot as before. Oh, beautiful. The camshaft's good. Let it return to 0. Coming up on 0. And home. That's repeatability. So, I verified. Now, the reason why I'm going after it in the way that I am is because, like I said, the root cause goes all the way back to the initial lifter installation. Okay, there's an issue with these lifters that they do not want to address. Now, the reason why I'm asking for the money, monetary and labor, is because on older engines, okay, I'm going to swing this around and put this in a different spot so you can see and so you can understand. Let me zoom out. Okay. Sorry for the noise. Okay, back in the old days, back in the small block Chevy days, this mass here was not present. Okay, you could clearly see the whole camshaft minus where the bearings were, and you could actually get to the lifters in here and pull them out. Very easy, quick, small job. Not very labor intensive at all. Can be done with the engine in the car in a matter of, on this engine in the case, if it had been that way, oh, I don't know, you can do a lift job in this in about 2 hours. Okay. What makes this so labor intensive is, like I said, removing of the heads right here. You have to remove the heads now on these LS motors in order to get to the lifters, which are right here. That is a major job. About anything that is more major would entail a complete rebuild, because after you take these heads off and you get everything ready for the camshaft, you have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18 pieces left in that whole assembly that you got to take out. Most of them are all connected. It sounds more than what it is. It's just your crankshaft, your pistons, and your connecting rods. That's about any much further you're going to go after you do this. Right here, as it sits on this stand, even with easy work, I'm still looking at probably 2 hours labor. 2 to 3 hours labor on the stand. If it was in the car, probably another 6. Okay. Reason being is because you have to remove the crankshaft balancer, you have to remove the cover plate for the camshaft, you have to take the oil pan off and remove the oil pump and its pickup tube. That's the proper way. A lot of people will take the oil pump off by prying it. That's improper. That's not the proper way to do this. The easiest way and the proper way to do this when you take the oil pump off is to remove the oil pan, take the pickup tube out that way, and then remove the oil pump. But basically, when you come down to the cam swap in this, you are down to a bare block, except for the pistons and the crank and the rods. That's why it is so labor intensive. It is actually easier to take the motor out and do the camshaft swap and do your dialing in like I do here. This is the dial indicator that we just used. Any good race engine builder is going to do this no matter what. He's going to check his work. I did this in the initial setup way back in the day when I first got this. Okay, so like I said, prior to this, I know my valve train geometry is very proper, very good, meaning I'm going to go through this one more time so we are all very clear. Okay, and basically what I mean is, when I talk about valve train geometry, is the relationship between this tip here, the center line of this, and the angle this is facing down towards the camshaft. If that's wrong, it will cause undue stress, it will wipe your camshaft out, you'll bend rods, it won't run right. Okay, and there's specifications for that. Well, these specifications on this are absolutely met. So, again, the root cause of this is the lifters, and I'm going to prove it after I tear the lifters out. I have no choice now, because I've already proven that the cam is in good shape. I was almost hoping that the cam was wiped out, because if it had been wiped out, that would have gave me something concrete. I have to pull the heads off now, get the lifters out, and load test those, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay, Sherry, this is Engine Building 101. Their problem goes all the way back to the initial installation. I have been fighting this since then. They were notified during this, okay? They were told, I have an issue. And I had to fight with them. I guess they were figuring they could fight with me long enough to where it would go out of warranty. Well, that's not the case. The root cause goes back to the initial problem when I did the installation on this. There are problems with these lifters. Now, I can get somebody over here and put them on camera who is certified well beyond even me to verify absolutely everything that I've done here to the nth degree.